Sharon Solomon is our closest connection with the founder of this church, Paul Solomon, having been his wife. And she's going to speak to us today about things that Paul said and her experiences with him. Won't you come forward, Sharon?
I think Paul set this up as a celebration of his 79th birthday, which is July 7th. So thank you, Chris. That was perfect for this. Actually, what we're going to do is play some of you have never heard Paul Solomon's voice, and several people suggested to me that it would be good for the people who come here to hear Paul Solomon's voice. So we are playing his rendition of the Seven Terraces to Higher Consciousness today for us to all meditate by. Now, Paul talked about two kinds of thinking. We all are familiar with the thinking by the rational mind with the five senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. But there's a different kind of thinking, a second kind of thinking that's described in the book of John as a voice floating into the mind like a dove. And it happens when you quiet the mind for meditation. And it is a very legitimate kind of thinking that is not often practiced in the Western world. And most of us, when we get that kind of thinking that doesn't come from the five senses, we say just your imagination. But just your imagination is where the voice of God comes from. And in fact, some of our greatest scientists and musicians who we have thought of as having the most rational minds in the world have used this second kind of thinking to get their greatest discoveries. For example, Einstein, he would work and work and work, and finally, when he was so exhausted, he would close his eyes, and that's when his theory of relativity came in from this other way of thinking. Schubert, the composer, said that the music floated to him from the air. Now, the reason I'm telling you about this second way of thinking is this is how the Seven Terraces to Higher Consciousness came to Paul Solomon. He grew up in a Baptist background and didn't know anything about meditation, didn't know anything about any other esoteric kinds of teachings. And after he had his initial spiritual experience, he was told that a part of his mission, as a matter of fact, the major part of his mission, would be able to teach other people to channel, to get that voice of God, to hear the voice of God themselves. And he was given, in meditation, this Seven Terraces meditation to higher consciousness. It all came in one meditation experience, and he shared it with hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And later, through study with the rational mind, he found that this meditation experience is the meditation that every successful meditation includes these same 7 steps. And these 7 terraces, these 7 steps, include the teachings of many esoteric teachings of Kabbalah, I Ching, of Taoism, of Buddhism, and of course the Bible itself. So please relax and close your eyes and get into a comfortable position as we hear Paul Solomon's voice giving us the 7 terraces to higher consciousness. Now, of course, Sarah and Cynthia do a wonderful job of leading us through these same 7 steps. And the idea is you can do it too. This is just another version. This particular version, I believe, I'm not positive, but it was in the 70s, and it has some music and it has some sounds of birds, because you're making these terraces real. It's not imagination, it's experience. You're creating a place where you can commune directly with the source of life, with God. Lloyd?
We have an appointment with the Divine Presence. There's a place deep within you where the Master dwells, a creative presence responsible for your very existence. All that you are, mind, body, spirit, emanates from creative presence. That creative intelligence is available for communication, for awareness, for God consciousness. To arrive at that creative presence, to communicate with that consciousness, we need only empty mind of all other things, providing something of a vacuum into which this consciousness can come. The place where we want to go is far removed from the world where mundane concerns exist. Come with me to a quiet open meadow, a sacred mountain, and a temple where this consciousness dwells. Begin to experience right now a quiet place, a meadow, and make it real. Don't just imagine this experience, be there. Use all of your senses to see and feel, smell and hear this particular place. Create a meadow with deep green grass. It may be a place that you remember, a place you've been before, or you may create it now so that it expresses for you perfection in a place to go to remove yourself from the outside world. Begin to experience it by recalling a time when you felt the texture of grass. Feel yourself lying down in the springiness of fresh green grass, the crisp coolness of the way grass feels. You may even wish to touch grass to help you enter the feeling, the consciousness of your meadow. Smell it. Smell the freshness of the grass and the earth, the air of a quiet open meadow. Listen for the sounds of birds, crickets, and a slight breeze, just the slightest breeze, rustling the grass around you and the leaves of the trees. And listen for the sound of a bubbling, gurgling brook, the sound of water splashing over rocks, and in the distance, a waterfall. Make your meadow real. Don't just imagine. Be there. This meadow is a place of preparation, and every time you see this particular meadow in your mind's eye, it should have an effect on you. This meadow should cause you to realize your purpose for coming here. This meadow is a reminder. I am about to enter a sacred experience, a spiritual experience. And this meadow tells me that. It's a point of reference for the beginning of an attunement to a consciousness at the top of the mountain. Look across the meadow at a sacred mountain, a very special mountain, beautiful. Its peak reaches into the clouds. The uppermost part of the mountain is hidden behind a cloud, and behind that cloud is a brilliant light, too bright for the eyes to see. And stretching up from the meadow to the cloud are 7 terraced gardens, each of a different color, leading to the top. And each garden will have an effect upon you as you enter and walk through it here. Each garden will cause a change in your consciousness, a preparation in your being for arriving at that place at the top of the mountain. As you come to the first garden, your foremost desire is to experience that light, that radiance, that enlightenment at the top of the mountain. If I can reach that peak, I can commune with the highest that is within me, with that sense of anticipation. I come into the first terraced garden. The garden is predominantly red. Beautiful banks of rose bushes predominate the landscape of the first beautiful garden. There may be other flowers of other types filling your garden. There may be splashing fountains, trellises, waterfalls, benches, walkways. Be creative. Make the garden beautiful, a place that you will want to return to again and again. This garden has a purpose. It's called the Terrace of Expectancy. And every time you enter this red garden and see the appearance that surrounds you right now, you should create within yourself a sense of anticipation and expectancy. In this next few minutes, in this meditation, you can have an experience that will change your life. You're only limited by your sense of expectancy. Anticipate that, and it will occur. There is a stone marker in the center of this beautiful garden, and these words carved in stone. I expect to be changed by this experience. Read that marker. Create a visual sense of seeing the stone marker and the garden, and create that sense of expectancy before you go any further. Expect this experience to make a difference, to change your life. With that sense of anticipation, begin to continue up the mountainside, a little higher, walking through a nature trail, or up the steps, perhaps wide marble steps leading into a second beautiful garden. The flowers here are predominantly orange. This is the terrace of setting aside the outer consciousness, the awareness of the physical body. Set aside the physical body so that you feel almost as if you didn't have a body at all, until it is so relaxed that you become unaware of it, so that it will not be a distraction in the experience. In order to do this, cause your arms and your legs to feel heavy, like lead weights sinking right down into the floor. Then just release them, let them go. Feel the same sensation in your torso, in the body, the head. Feel like a lead weight sinking down into the floor, and let go. But not becoming sleepy. Increase your awareness. Become alert, alive, awake. Your consciousness will feel as if it is lifting away from the physical. As the physical body relaxes, let the consciousness float. As the body will rest, I will float higher. There is a stone marker here, and an affirmation carved in these words. The body physical is heavy. I'll let it rest as I float higher. Float up the mountainside into the third garden. The flowers here are predominantly yellow. Big soft balls of yellow, bright yellow mums, set in the green of their leaves, gleaming like jewels in the sun. Sunlit yellow, a happy garden. Walk into this third garden that is called the Terrace of Release, and let yourself experience a release. Turn loose of old self-image. What you have thought you were limited to is gone. There are no limits. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things become new. Whatever you have thought you were capable of is set aside now, for there is no limitation. Coming through this experience, you will acquire new traits of personality, of character, of abilities to express. No limitations at all. See what you had set as limitations before and cast them aside. I release all the past into the hands of God, and my tensions have floated away. Turn loose of guilt here. This is a place of release. Turn loose of lack or limitation or wishful thinking and accept what is brand new. The last garden was a terrace of death of the old. This garden is a terrace of birth of the new. With a brand new self, a brand new self-image, float a little higher. You feel light and weightless and free now. And with that freedom, continue higher into the fourth garden. This beautiful garden is predominantly green. The green of the forest, the green of nature. There are ancient olive trees here with gnarled trunks and silvery leaves and big black green olives within them. Great ancient cedars of Lebanon and tall stately pine trees and oak spreading out her arms. Walk in this quiet, majestic grove of trees and realize that green is the most restful and healing of all the colors of the universe. A color of balance, a color of peace. This is a garden of companionship. There is a presence here, a divine presence. A presence of one walking in the garden in the cool of the day. A presence of creative consciousness, not someone from outside your being, but the divine that lives within you. You can meet that presence in this garden. There is an intelligence, a creative presence that formed your body, that put the cells together, that gave you your intelligence, your mind, your thinking. That creative intelligence lives and can be called a master of your body, a master of your consciousness, your mind. Meet that master as a very living and real and personal presence. What could be more personal than the consciousness that formed the pattern for your existence? Feel warm and close and personal with this living presence that has been born within you. Give birth to the expression. And fasten yourself to this friend, this master. Surround yourself with his light by filling yourself with his light. And read the prayer that is carved in stone on the fourth garden. A prayer of protection that reads, I encompass myself in the protective arms of the master whom I serve. I see about me a circle of his light across which no mortal error dare set foot. The circle of light that surrounds you is emanating from the center of your being, filled with his light, his presence, embraced in his love, his arms. Feel protected as you continue higher up the mountainside. You're coming now into a blue garden. The color here, everything that surrounds you, is the blue of the sky, heavenly blue. A blue of an unearthly place, celestial blue. Because the stone marker on this garden reads, I'm entering a new and higher world where all is God. Everything that surrounds me on this presence is God. That's all there is. That's all that exists now. For me and my consciousness, I have forgotten all other things. I'm aware only of living in the consciousness of God. In Him I live and move and have my being. And still the soul is floating higher. Feel yourself continuing up the mountainside into a violet garden. The beauty of the violet garden is almost overwhelming. Look around you at an arbor of concord grapes forming a tunnel-like trellis over the path to the top of the mountain. And looking through the lattice work of the arbor, one can see blooming yonder orchids and wisteria climbing in the trees, its blossoms hanging like bunches of grapes. But the color here is predominantly violet, the violet of the transmuting flame that, like the philosopher's stone, can change basest metal into pure gold. Whatever you are or have been can be changed in its very nature by lifting through this terrace of consciousness. Changed from man into what God is. To quote the Master, "Know ye not, ye are gods, and sons of the Most High." Forget all that you have been and now experience what the highest within you is, and that which will continue this journey is the God that is within you. The presence, the expression of God that lives in you becomes your expression at this terrace of consciousness. This is the garden of responsibility. In order to continue higher, one must make a dedication. There is a cloud above your head. The cloud hides the seventh terrace, the peak, the top of the mountain. Behind that cloud is a brilliant light. To continue higher, I must make a sacrifice. I must make a dedication. I set aside all other things as if they had no meaning. That is my sacrifice. Nothing else matters so much as going through that cloud to the top of the mountain. That is my sacrifice. I dedicate myself to sharing this experience. Whatever happens to me as I continue through this experience, I will incorporate as a part of my expression so that I will cause others to feel the peace, the light and the radiance, the happiness that comes as a result of this experience. In that manner, I will share. Making that dedication causes the cloud to part, and a brilliant light streams through from the top of the mountain. Stand in that light and follow that beam to the peak. Continue upward to the heart of the light. And standing in the brilliance of that light, feel it radiate through you, as if a star were shining from the center of your being, and your body has become luminous. Like a light bulb, it has disappeared, and one sees only the light radiating at the top of the mountain. Stand on the peak and see before you a pillar of stone, a beautiful carved pillar of stone, in its surface an affirmation, the attributes of God: limitless power, absolute harmony, eternal duration. And looking at those three attributes, recognize I have limitless power when I am in absolute harmony with that which has eternal duration. That is the purpose for the top of the mountain. Stand here at the peak and listen. Listen for a singing sound, the sound of your own soul, that which is within you that was born of God, calls to his Father, has always sought to return to the expression of the Father. A name of God, a name of this consciousness is Elohim, a name of God that is androgynous, that is both male and female, and is plural, meaning all that God is. Use that name and call that presence by the repetition of the name, as that which is within you that seeks God calls to its Father, its Creator. And as that singing sound comes from you, you will hear it floating across the mountaintops, as the angels call that presence, and the rocks and hills themselves will start to sing, repeating your mantra, Elohim, the name of God, Elohim, the name of all that God is, androgynous, plural, all that can express creativity, Elohim. Bask in the sound of the universe calling the name of God. Bask in the responding presence as God will hear and answer and surround you with his living presence at the top of the mountain.
Take a moment now to continue to commune with Source. And give thanks for this experience of being one with the presence of God. See yourself now on the white terrace of limitless power, absolute harmony, eternal duration. And come again through that cloud of unknowing to the violet garden, where we took responsibility for all I experience. And to the blue garden, where all is God. And down to the green, be one with the presence of the Master. And know that that Master comes with you and is available to you throughout your days of your life and can be called upon, who loves you and protects you and is with you always. And to the yellow garden, I am new, I am. Keep that newness with you, the beauty that is you, the spark of God that radiates from you. And to the orange garden. And know that what you drop there becomes compost for new ideas, born of the God within you. And to the red garden, I expect to be changed by this experience. And know that there is a change that happened within you. I have been changed. I've experienced the presence of God. And into the meadow, the beautiful place of your own creation. And when you're ready, come back into this room, wiggle your fingers and toes, smile, yawn and smile, and give the gift of your smile to someone around you. Thank you.